like to call the January 11th, 2023 meeting in the Ogden Town Board to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd ask that you remain standing for a moment of silent reflection and prayer for military servicemen and women serving around the world, as well as for our first responders. Thank you. Well, welcome to the first regular town board meeting of 2023. Glad that you could be here. Wanted to just let you know that for the beginning of this meeting, we have a public hearing. So we will read that public hearing, allow for presentation, and then for any public comment before moving on with regular business. Madam Clerk?
Please take notice that the town board of the town of Ogden will hold and conduct a public hearing on the application of the Spencermore Fire District for a special use permit pursuant to section 300-62 of the zoning code of the town of Ogden for the construction of a fire training facility upon property located at 2588 Union Street in an R1 district. Such public hearing shall be held before the town board at a regular meeting thereof to be held at the Ogden Community Center, 269 Ogden Center Road, Spencerport, New York, 14559, on the 11th day of January 2023 at 7 p.m., and at which hearing all interested persons shall be heard concerning the subject matter thereof.
Very good. As I understand that there is a presentation.
Let's make sure my mic, I don't know if anyone can hear what I'm saying. Come
Yeah.
through? Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Snyder. I'm a planning manager with Passero Associates. So the fire training facility, I guess to start, I'll just talk a little bit about process. Last week, Thursday, we went to the Zoning Board of Appeals where we were approved for 5 variances related to the site. Tonight we're here for the special permit portion, and then tomorrow we will be at the planning board to have a review through site plan review. The facility itself, the main feature, of course, is the 3-story, 30-foot tall burn building. And that building, do have, so we have a rendering of it here. This is a standard facility that's used by fire departments to train. So the idea is that the building would be set on fire and firefighters would bring an engine back there and train with fire apparatus to put out that fire. While that's the main feature, there's also other features of the site, including a roof pad, which is, you can see just north of the building on the site plans there, as well as a couple storage containers to store equipment for training. Of course, this, you can see the darker color on this is the expansion of pavement for the circulation of fire trucks. There's also fencing around the entire facility area. That's going to be 8-foot tall fencing for security and safety purposes, obviously. We don't want anyone getting in there. There's 2 main gates, and then to the south, there's a 3rd gate and a construction road, which will really be an auxiliary road during the operation. It would not be normally operated as a road unless there's actually training going on at the site. It offers an additional angle for trucks to come in and would only really be used during training operations. There is some soil on the site, which is piled up near the metal-clad pole barn, the larger one there, which was a result of digging out foundations for those originally. That soil will be moved along with the soil for the foundation for the burn building itself, to the south, to create a berm. The main purpose of that berm is to act as a barrier between this site and any of the residential properties to the south. There will be fairly significant plantings there as well. And there will be additional lighting added were some questions about operation and use, in terms of frequency and hours. It would be operated during the week between 6 and 9 p.m., initially twice a month, but really based on the training requirements for firefighters. After having discussions with the Spencerport Fire Department, currently they have to utilize other towns and communities' fire training facilities, which is expensive. But this kind of offers the Spencerport Fire Department to have a facility where maybe they can they can definitely have their own training, but also offer training to other areas as well that may not have, other fire departments and communities that may not have the services available to them. Weekends around 9 a.m. would be a start and completed by 4 p.m. There would be pretty much no operation during the winter. And during the week, everything would be shut down before 10 p.m., including lights and things like that. So there wouldn't really be any noise or anything like that after hours. So that's my presentation. We have members of the fire department here tonight if you have any more specific questions about the operation, exactly what sort of training goes on there, that kind of thing.
Any questions the board has?
I have no question.
Any questions from the public on this? Yes, sir.
Just a question, if you could. A question, your hours of operation, again, could you run through those?
Yes, after discussions with the fire department, they noted, if operations are happening during the week, it would be between 6 and 9 p.m., but typically about twice a month, maybe up to 3 or 4 times max, based on training requirements. And then if those operations were to occur on the weekend, they would occur between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. on Saturdays. But operation during the winter is infrequent to never.
Part of the training involve, for lack of a better words, loudspeakers or people who are being instructed by, a speaker.
AV system.
I'm looking at noise.
Speaker
It'd be
system.
radio broadcast from our radios, two-way radios talking.
Calls, but no loudspeakers.
Okay. Just a question, because
Yeah.
if it were to happen, people would complain, I'm sure.
Okay, public? Sir, come forward. State your name, please.
Frank Rogoski, 501 Washington Street. Just a short question, a couple things. I'm wondering why, as the gentleman said, they were at the zoning board last week for the variances, they're going to the planning board. My experience is that special use permits are normally also granted by the zoning board. So why is the town board being involved?
Under this particular ordinance, it does fall to the town board under this section of the town code. You're right, a majority of the special use permits do fall at the zoning board.
Right, I was looking at the code and it sort of said it could be the town board sometimes.
Yeah, and I'm sure many of the same questions that are asked tonight are going to be asked at the planning board in terms of the site plan, so it could have been, but the way I read it, it seemed to be that it fell more to the town board than the zoning board for this particular use.
And then the other, second question I have is, special use permit can be made renewable as opposed to a conditional use, which is kind of permanent.
Yeah, this is,
Look at as having renewable terms?
the special use permit provisions provide that it can be granted on conditions, and I think some of the things that were offered this evening in terms of hours of operation and lighting and things of that nature would be normal conditions of the special use permit. And by its very nature, if those conditions are not met, then the special use permit can be withdrawn or enforced.
Well, I guess my question is it can be issued from the get-go as a renewable permit? You say it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Is the thought you might do that, or?
You mean to bring in the fire department every year to do this?
Or
typically, you know, I think you've probably been to many zoning board meetings where they usually start off at 3 years or 5 years, and if everything is going well, the 5 years might become another 5 years or 10 years. So it's a performance generated timeframe. The board will discuss what initial timeframe they might want to put on it. But it's obviously a fairly hefty investment for the fire department if they were to get a 1-year permit and it gets pulled. So I don't think that's the concept of why, but the ordinance provides that they need to get it.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting one or the other, although as you say that, I think, well, maybe you say, I'll come back in 5 years and just make sure everything's going good, whatever.
Right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Any additional comments, questions, thoughts for the presenter? Nothing from me.
One of the other things, Frank, just to finish up on that thought, sometimes that revisiting of the special use permit at whatever period of time can generate one of two things: amendments to the conditions, if the conditions have changed, you know, which is also an important part of it.
Right, yeah, right, I can see if, you know, experience shows that they need different hours or different
Right.
conditions. Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? Anyone else from the public?
I don't see anybody from the surrounding neighborhood, but I understand there were some questions from neighbors at the zoning board meeting. Is that correct? What concerns were those?
So, I'm not sure exactly, which address,
She lives on Union Street.
She lives right on
She was
Union.
complaining about the lights.
is she right to the south of?
And I went there that night, after the rain and everything at night, and I
Yeah,
honestly could not see how I shut the lights off. I was in the back parking lot, and you could not, no lights were shining to our building. So they were dusted down lights. They were on, and explained to her that they're on for security purposes only at this time.
yeah, and I guess to add to that, the plantings, we spoke with our landscape architect about, you know, what would be the best way to screen, any lighting coming from this facility, especially along that berm, because that's a really good location for it. And, you know, with the placement of evergreen and deciduous tree plantings at that location, and the berm being about 5 to 6 feet in height when it's completed, we're looking at initially probably around like 15 to 20 feet, and at maturity, like 25 feet in height. When you think about the building or the light posts, which are gonna be between 20 and 25 feet, that should shield any light coming out of the property and also shield the building at that location, so.
Also,
Yeah.
she just lost a tree the week
Oh, did
before
she?
that, a huge tree. Came down
Yeah.
on the front of the property. It was cleaned up, but it was a big shade tree, so it blocked whatever went into her property.
Yeah, but generally around those properties, there is a pretty good, dense, amount of landscaping, which you can kind of see from the plans here. So we're
They all
kind
got
of doing our
it.
best to add any additional landscaping we can.
I was in attendance at that meeting, and the ZBA, they handled the questions quite well. A lot of it was, the people that came was just, can I see it from my house type of thing. And that was the response, and I think the ZBA actually handled it very well, so, all the concerns were handled well, and I think everyone walked away happy, content with those questions, so.
And this won't be before the town board for consideration prior to it going to the planning board as well, who may have additional comments on some of that, so. It's gonna snow. Anything else? Okay, I would like to close the public hearing. Next, we'll move to Resolution 67, approval of the December 14th minutes. Better motion?
Motion.
A second. Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion on this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, moving the organizational meeting minutes, Resolution 68.
So moved?
Second.
Moved by Councilman Toms, seconded by Councilman Baker. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Next, we have, by the way, wanted to thank you guys for being in attendance, really appreciate it. If you don't want to stick around, feel free. I'll give you a second, but we're gonna just move into privilege of the floor, but great job, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Anyone here that wishes to address the board at this time under privilege of the floor? Seeing none, close privilege of the floor. Next, Resolution 69, reports and remittances from town officers.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, town audits, Resolution 70.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. I've got two updates under my supervisor's report that I'm gonna have department heads lead. So to give us an update on a parcel that we talked about a little bit in the past, I'd like to invite Brian Thompson, our building inspector, to talk about Homesteads for Hope.
Who is this guy?
State your name and address, please.
He's a grease guy.
269 Ogden Center Road.
That's right.
So just to update you on Jenny Ray Brango and Homesteads for Hope, they did come in with an application to do an addition on the existing farmhouse that's there. It does sit on an R1 district, so there's no reason why that would not be an acceptable permitted procedure. They are planning on doing some type of schooling, education, as well as staff living on site. Doing some research through the Ag and Markets, both of those are acceptable uses per zoning for Ag and Markets for a farmland. So again, I have no issue with them moving forward with that either. Other than that, that's where we stand on that process. They do have some other issues that we're still trying to iron out. But moving forward with that, that's where we are.
I'd like to just point out that this is a very unique property. It's a farm, it's been a school, it's being used in other ways, and the building department has really tried to find an appropriate way for it to be zoned so that they can conduct their operation. We've considered a great number of different types of zoning, and ultimately through months of taking a look at it, the building department and Brian and Sue have found a lot of acceptable uses under current existing Ag and Market. So there wouldn't be a board action on that at this time. Is that fair?
Yeah, I've encouraged the owner to reach out again to Ag and Markets concerning what they call agribusiness, which is a business type of activity on site which either generates or promotes or encourages the support of the agricultural operations that are on the site. And I've received some preliminary information from Ag and Markets that they would be receptive to reviewing that. So I've asked the applicant to put together a narrative of how the agribusiness nature of some of the uses supports the agricultural nature of the entire parcel. And hopeful that Ag and Markets will find that in the overall scope of things that it would do that. And if that's the case, there wouldn't be any need to do an overlay district or some special zoning district, because that whole area of supporting agricultural activity is right on the top of the radar for Ag and Markets.
Right.
I was encouraged by initial conversations with representatives of Ag and Markets that they would seriously consider that fairly promptly.
Great.
That's my.
Their zoning supersedes our zoning.
Right.
And, one of the main things we're talking about is the wedding barn, essentially. So they have a big, large barn there that they've been remodeling and renovating. and I think in the past have had some weddings there and intend on doing that. That's where we're having some
And
differences
I
in
think
opinion,
that,
trying to make that fit with their use.
that's where I tried to encourage the owner to expand the definition of the uses to include things that are more directly related to agricultural operations, whether it's, you know, having a spring and a summer and a fall event at the site that relates directly to produce or activities that are on a farm that would support having that facility year-round. And when it's not doing one, it could be used for another.
Right.
So,
Beneficially help support the
Right.
farm itself.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
thanks, Brian.
I'd like to invite Tony up to give us a little bit of an update about Little Red. There's also a little handout that is a compilation of work completed plus other work that is coming up. Tony?
Good evening. So, this is a list of kind of where we are, where we're at, where we've been, and where we're going. Fortunately, we've gotten a lot of work done. Unfortunately, most of it is in the walls and the structures and below ground, so we really don't see a huge improvement. But structurally, the building is being maintained much, much better. Bathroom, they're putting paint on the walls, finished right up. That's gonna be really nice space. The things that need to be completed yet is plumbing, which I had Brian walk through with me and kind of look over everything that has been going on. He's pleased, and, what we wanna do, still, he's agreeing that it's the right thing to do for the building. The windows are the biggest cost that we're up against right now, and that's gonna have to go out to bid, and we'll see where those numbers, that's about as close as I could get without actually doing a sealed bid on it, but I think it's gonna be right there. I did add in the top notes about the parking lot, that the parking lot's just disintegrating. That'll have to be addressed probably this year. Sure Dan would come down and take a look at it, see what our best options are.
Tear it out, put it in.
I know that's what it's gonna be.
We're just putting a Band-Aid on it too, it's not gonna survive it.
It's in bad
Basic
shape.
Yeah.
Is there something,
Water damage.
something that can be done temporarily, or, I mean, is that far gone, or?
No, it's fine for right now, but it is, there was a lot of underwater damage that came off the building and a lot of water got right there. I don't think they're right, enough, bases in there to do it. I mean, we paved it a couple times where we just went over and put a Band-Aid over it and just put top on it. And if you're gonna do it, you know, we're not charging the money to do it, so we'll be doing it with, you know, the town and boxing out at one time and refilling it and put some base in there and put some stone in there and repave it, and it'll be done and over with for, you know, the project to be moving on. If we're putting this much money into it, we might as well, you know, look at doing that part of it.
The major part that's bad would be a hazard, but it's not right where the concentrated crowd is, which is, it's not really a crowd right now there, but it's kind of in the middle of nowhere that it's bad. I mean, the one hole is beyond buying bags of.
I mean, the other thing is too, we would have to probably go over to the people, the neighbors, and talk to them and extend the driveway over to the top of their driveway, so we don't get a split in it and end up having more problems. That would be a wise thing to do.
Questions?
That's where we're at. We're close to our number. Ready to forecast it, so.
Yeah, Tony, the last item in the completed, this drywall change order, that's $1,650.
Yes,
And the first item in the not completed, those are both on tonight's resolutions, is that correct?
yes.
And then these other three are not, the structural repair, the windows, the alarm monitoring, are not in any resolutions as of yet?
Not yet. That's what we had talked about. It was part of the plan, what we had talked about at the original, putting the money into Little Red was utilizing it for these things. It hasn't gone into resolution yet, because I don't have a contractor yet.
Okay. And then the only other remaining item you think is the driveway?
Yeah, yep. I mean, I can say we'll have Dan take a look at it, but I don't. it needs to
Yeah,
be
there's
done.
still a cost, right? So,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks,
for
Tony.
allowing us to put money in the building.
Thank you. Okay, couple other quick things. Rotary, which we are now members of, their installation is 6 PM, January 16th at Clutch. I think originally it was another place. It is now at Clutch in the Village. You're all, you've been invited. I'm sure you've gotten multiple emails on this.
Are we all getting our rotary pins?
I don't know. Council of Governments, this is a group that I'm part of as the supervisor. We have been discussing a lot of intermunicipal agreement ideas, several coming down the pipe, and they're working on putting that together right now. One would be for document conversion, which has been something that we've talked about for pretty much an entire year. So we'll be taking a look at the potential cost of that before we enter into an agreement with the county to do that. Met with the village to discuss a new IMA for building inspection services. Let's see here. You will see the potential intermunicipal agreement that I've provided for you. And I want to take just a brief second to explain why this goes for a year and a half. Typically, these are one-year agreements. We proposed an increase in the amount that the village is paying us. We essentially are their building inspector. We're not the code enforcer or the fire marshal, but we are their building inspectors. We do quite a bit for them. And in exchange, they've typically paid us quarterly $9,625. We wanted to be respectful in requesting an increase by waiting until they had a chance to redo their budget. Their budget starts in June, as opposed to it being annual the way that ours is, January 1 to December 31st. So instead of trying to do this for 6 months and then do it again, we had discussed with them about making this go through their fiscal year in 2024 and then continuing on annually after that. So this provides them the opportunity to just pay us what they've already budgeted, which is the $96.25 for the January 1st payment and the April 1st payment, and then slide right into the increased amount that we've been asking for on July 1st, which would be Q3. So if we want to have additional discussions on this, we can, but what we talked about is just really essentially that they've been paying us roughly $38,000, $38,500, and we collect all of their permit fees, and 100% of those permit fees go directly to the village. It was a total of about $30,000. So we've been doing right by them, with them not having to have an entire building department. And with the added cost of municity, we kind of, Brian did a great job splitting up the percentage of which their time is spent, which is about 15% were their permits versus ours. And so we took a cost estimate, figured out what 15% would be, and that's how we arrived at that number. Okay. If we'd like to, and they're agreeable to this, I just wanted to pitch it to you to take a look at before I put it in front of you to sign. They're gonna take a look at it, their workshop on Wednesday. So I'll be providing a copy of this, but without having voted on it, does anyone have concerns about this?
No.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you to the building department for spending a lot of time putting that together. Let's see. On behalf of the town, at that same meeting in the village, we provided a proc to Tom West on his retirement, so he appreciated the sentiments from the town. Also provided you the annual update of the special police. If you look through the amount of hours that these volunteers put in, it's tremendous. 1697. Let me look here, sorry. Yeah, 1697. 1,697 volunteer hours. It's tremendous. We're very grateful to have them. Please take the time to read through that report.
I did have a question on that report.
Yes.
Do we not provide services to the court?
We have paid personnel that provide services to the court deputies, or,
Yeah, the special
Officers, court
police
attendants.
do not
They,
any
okay.
longer
Okay.
provide.
Because I just didn't see a category for it. I was.
Yeah, good question.
Thanks.
As was alluded to in the pre-meeting, but worthy of stating for the record, we are hitting the ground running on our handbook and purchasing policies. As I had mentioned, these are really, really important to have updated, and the process started to do that. And you'll also notice, we are voting on a new DARE officer. We have not been with a DARE officer for quite some time. The school district has met with the DARE officer. They're very excited to get involved here, and you can see the timeline of events related to the DARE officer. So, that's the end of my report. Councilman Baker.
Thank you. The only real item I have is the meeting of the Comprehensive Plan Committee was Monday. And I do see members of that committee are present here today. But we focused quite a bit, and there was a lot of discussion evolving around water, the access to water, sewers, and it was good to just hear the dialogue from all the stakeholders at the table about where the future, like if you're looking at 10 years down the road, like where do we want to take this? So there was a lot of discussion, like I said, evolving around the sewers, and that's kind of like where you're gonna put your future development, what kind of development. Looked at a lot of we had some builders that are part of the discussion, and they were talking about the challenges that they're facing, and whether or not they would even consider whether sewers are a deal breaker for them or not. So it's good. I mean, we only have an hour and a half really for these meetings, and we probably could have spent a good day, just going on this one, subject. So there's gonna be, you can tell that there's a lot that the committee's gonna have to sift through, in the coming meetings, to get to where we wanna be. So it's good discussions, going on. Secondly, I don't know if anybody on the board had seen the governor's State of the State address. Supervisor, I know that I had texted you pretty soon afterwards. And I'm glad to see that the building department is here, and some of the members of the public are here as well, because, and I say this in all sincerity, the future of local government is really in peril. Listening to her speak, she really wants to take local control out of the hands of local government and hand it over to the state. One of the things that was very disconcerting to me as a sitting board member in a town is that she wants to build 800,000 housing units, and there's a scale where she wants 1% of upstate to have 1% of that 800,000 to be built in 3 years. Doesn't say, and you can read between the lines, it doesn't say, single family homes. What she's talking about are multi-use, apartment type structures, high density. So for a community such as ours, where are we putting this stuff? Who's paying for it? And
do you have any say?
And exactly, and do we have any say? And really, her answer is no, you don't have a say. We're gonna help you, the state is going to extend, these things to help you get to that goal, but you're getting to that goal whether you like it or not. And she alluded to quote-unquote onerous zoning restrictions that, that are in place throughout the state. Granted, I think, our zoning, codes, they always could be updated and they always can be looked at, but as far as being called onerous, no, I take umbrage to that. And I'm sure a lot of our residents and business owners would do the same. So it was, for me, I was very worried after listening to this speech. And like I said, it should be worrisome for anybody if you want, go to, ny.gov and listen to it yourself and you'll hear it. Cause I'm telling you, it's something to be taken seriously, so. Hate to be a downer on that, but,
That's a good report.
We last year, when this was part of the address that was given, it was essentially the same thing, although she didn't put an 800,000 number on it. She essentially basically said that we do not have jurisdiction over home rule, which every town has the ability to develop their own code to decide and determine what they would like their town to be. And this would essentially take that away. And we fought as supervisors and legislators with the Association of Towns against it. It was changed, it was removed temporarily, but I think we all knew that it was coming back at some point, so this is not. Here it is.
well, and I'm sure too, so I'll be attending the Association of Towns annual meeting, next month, and I am positive this is gonna be coming up. I mean, this might be the conversation.
And there is no one that I've spoken to on any of those Association of Towns calls who are pro this.
Right.
So it should be a united voice, whether it means anything or not.
Yeah.
But what I read is that essentially they're gonna take a look at each town. It's not like they're just gonna say upstate or Monroe County, each town and assess. And if we aren't where they want percentage-wise for affordable housing, they can come in with taxpayer dollars and just say, here's where it's going, which is crazy. But thank you, Aaron.
Yep.
Councilman Hinman.
Yes, I did attend the most recent ZBA meeting. I was actually really encouraged. They've had a little bit of turnover there, and so I've been trying to see how they're doing as far as their comfortability in talking and leading. I was really encouraged to see how they handled the meeting. Not only was it, talking about the fire district, but there was some couple people that came before them that were a little bit bullish and they handled it well. And so I'm really quite happy with that board and the way that they're responding and they're handling their business. So that's all.
Very good. Councilman Thomas?
Yeah, at our last meeting, Superintendent Wolf invited us to come and meet his folks, and I took him up on that offer over the holidays and took a tour of the highway department. It was very impressive, everything he showed me.
Lunch.
Met with a bunch of the guys, had lunch. It was fun.
Good. Those floors are pretty clean, aren't they?
Well, not that day. They were.
They usually are. They really usually are.
They installed travertine in them, didn't they?
All right, for a matter of a rebuttal, Superintendent Wolf.
They were clean. A couple things. We went up to Buffalo. 7 guys went up, 7 guys on, 7 guys off. They went up for 16-hour days. We did well at that. I don't know how we're getting paid yet, but we'll find out where that money's coming from. We broke a couple tires and broke the windshield on a loader, but we'll repair and all that stuff and billing it back to the Erie County for the damages to that. Their guys are all being recognized tomorrow at the Public Safety Building at 2 o'clock, or not the Public Safety, over on Paul Road. They're being acknowledged over there by Mr. Bello for the work that they went and turned in. The firehouse, the water line's in. Fingers crossed tomorrow at
Does it work?
9 o'clock, we're gonna charge it, and hopefully it works out. They seem pretty confident that they did their job to the best of their ability, and it's gonna work, so it's gonna work. The flusher truck that we have that we purchased, what's that? the flusher truck that we purchased from the Village of Spencerport 2 years ago. The town of Hamlin, is in need of a flusher truck. So we had to take our flusher truck out, last week and flush some water lines for them. They had some storm sewers backing up inside of some houses over there. And, I offered it to them. Mike took me up on the offer. I said, well, we would sell it to you for exactly what we have into it. We bought that flusher truck prior to us buying our new flusher truck. So we really use that flusher truck just to fill rollers. So the amount of money that we purchased from the Village of Spencerport, we'll sell it to, the town of Hamlin for that same price. So that's gonna be at least we had it for a while. We used it. Our flusher truck that we had prior to that wasn't that great, so that'll work out good for us. I think that's about it. Oh, the police department storage is set up over, next door, and, the working in the cars is working out great. Working on the, building department cars we're doing that too, so it's all working out well. Seems to be pretty good. That's it.
Thank you, Dan. Town clerk.
So we are busy collecting town and county taxes. Bills were delayed slightly because they are all mailed out of Buffalo, but they are finally hitting the houses and people are paying their taxes. To Aaron's comment, we are actually getting some work from the state. Kathy Hochul decided it would be a good idea to let people perform marriage ceremonies. And they are allowed to perform one ceremony in their lifetime, and they have to fill out a form and collect the fees, and that was all supposed to go through the state. And they realized they don't have the manpower or the time to do this, so they wanna push it back to the towns. So, we're waiting to see, that's still in the legislation, so we're still waiting to see what happens with that. So, we might be getting another, form of revenue, although they want to take that money, so we're fighting to see who's gonna collect the $25. That's all I have.
Very good, thank you. Our town attorney, Dan Shell.
I sent a second request, the first of this week to Ellicott Development. I sent them a request before Christmas for as-built plans, map and legal description so we can dedicate the sewer and release their bond. And, they haven't responded. And it's not Ellicott Development, they have an entity that they have formed that owns that land. But I sent another request, so if there's a question as to why the sewer hasn't been dedicated, the answer is they haven't done what they need to do. I'm looking forward to sitting as planning board attorney tomorrow night. Keith O'Toole has come down with a little bit of COVID and is under the weather, and I'm looking forward to helping him out. He's pinch hit for me on occasions in the past, so it's a quid pro quo. The special use permit that was heard this evening, I'd welcome some input, or at least we can have a discussion among the board members as to what conditions, if any, you want to place on this permit, so we can have a resolution, if in fact the board wants to grant it, which I don't think, there was no opposition to the request, so that we can actually adopt a resolution authorizing that, the issuance of that special permit. As I mentioned before the meeting began, actually in the work, pre-meeting meeting, I'm pawing through various municipalities' purchasing policy manuals, as well as reviewing ours to try to come up with something that's more definitive, easy to use, user-friendly, and gives a clear and concise to all department heads a direction as to what needs to be done in order to follow the procedures necessary for the town and the finance department and the supervisor's office all to function quickly. We terminated a cleaning services agreement. There's been discussion the last couple of months about the various cleaning services that the town has in various of the buildings and the various of the departments. And so one of the recommendations from Tony was that we get rid of one of the contracts which we had outstanding, which the contractor thought was a automatically renewed contract year by year, but I set them straight and they've agreed that they don't have a contract, and we're going to be moving forward with reviewing the cost of cleaning services and the alternatives that are available on a townwide basis. I was pleased to deliver before the new year a check to the supervisor for a little over $7,000 for a fine that was assessed against a resident for continued violations of the town code. That fine was reduced to a judgment, and it was collected and turned over to the supervisor. And sort of on the national level, following up with the comments, I think we as the town should probably get ready to determine how we're going to dispose of all the gas stoves that are going to be obsolete after the EPA determines that you can no longer have them. I guess it starts at the national level, comes to the state level, and the answer is, it's awful scary to see what's happening throughout the country with governments at a higher level usurping people's individual rights. That's just me, that's not Dan Shum, town attorney. That's all.
I got a question for you on the Ellicott bill.
Huh?
I got a question for you on Ellicott. We let them hook up to the sewer,
Oh, that's for,
Walgreens,
for,
and if it's not dedicated to us,
well, when you say just for the,
for Walgreens, you let them
For
hook
Walgreens.
Walgreens up.
it's their building, I guess, and at this point, yeah, it is not dedicated to us. They haven't,
The easement language, I believe, right?
yeah, it's,
So if something is to
if it
plug in,
blows up
it's
tomorrow,
theirs.
it's still theirs.
Okay, all right,
I mean, which I guess is a good thing. If it's being used and there's a problem, better it should
Right.
be used on their nickel.
okay.
All set? Very good. If there are any things that we'd like to discuss further, we can do that in work session. Okay, new business, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 71, authorizing the Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Zale to execute an agreement with Bergman Associates for provision of the GIS system maintenance.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 72, appointing Jeremy Lindar to the position of part-time, non-competitive police officer with the Ogden Police Department.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 73, authorizing the Town of Ogden Highway Department to purchase a pair of auto flaggers along with other equipment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 74, approving the 2023 appendices B and C to the intermunicipal work agreement between the Town of Ogden and the County of Monroe, establishing the payment of fringe benefit rates for 2023.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Tom. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next item, please.
Resolution 75, Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Zale to execute a contract agreement with Town and Country Pet Solutions, Inc. for the provision of pest control services at the Ogden Senior Center.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 76, authorizing the annual 2023 contract for various maintenance services performed by Wolf Mechanical Services LLC, both the Ogden Community Center and the Ogden Highway Facility.
I'll move that.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 77, authorizing the Town of Ogden to enter into a contractual agreement with 109 Development and Q2 Plumbing LLC for the provision of renovation services at the Little Red Building.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Baker. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 17, authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Zale to execute an agreement
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 79, authorizing Osborne Town Supervisor Mike Sale to sign a contract with Air Gas USA LLC for the provision of cylinder lease compressed gases.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 80, authorizing Osborne Town Supervisor Mike Sale to sign the annual 2023 labor contract with Radio Max for radio maintenance.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Baker, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Item carries. I would like to make a motion that we move into executive session to discuss employment history of particular persons.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we will move to executive session and go into the small conference room. Thanks for being here.